Okay, what I'm going to do in this video is go through a quick CV review that one of our YouTube subscribers has sent in to us. We've got permission to make a video out of it, but I have taken some steps to protect the person's anonymity. And what this will be is just a quick first draft, because what I want to do is provide some feedback to the person fairly quickly, because obviously they want to get on and put their application in. But I want to, before I invest too much time and effort into it, I want to know that this person is going to take the feedback seriously before I go any deeper. So this is just a first run through of the CV to make some hopefully immediate improvements. By the way, if you have got any input yourselves as you're watching the video and you've got suggestions that can improve the CV, by all means make comments, put comments down below. If you disagree with something that I've suggested, again, put your comments down below. But here's the actual CV. As you can see, I've redacted some of the sections of it. Hopefully you can see it okay. It's 2 pages of A4 and you're obviously seeing front and back placed side by side. So in no particular order, my initial thoughts were that, and I know you're not going to be able to see this, but I opened it initially on my mobile device and it didn't render properly on the mobile device. It kind of squashed the columns up. So it was like impossibly small columns. It didn't look like it does now on a desktop. So that's the first tip, is I would suggest once you've got your CV together, just make sure that it looks okay on all sorts of different devices. So a desktop, a tablet, and also test it on a mobile phone as well, because obviously you never know what the person that is reviewing your CV, what device they're going to be using. So make sure it renders properly on every device. So let's go through it. What first? Okay, so the person's name was up here. That's the bit that's been redacted out. I'll come back to that in a sec. They're from Nottingham. I don't know if the person has sort of not put a full address because they knew that they were going to be sending it to me to make a video and they didn't want their address on the video. That might be the case, but as far as I'm aware, it's still a requirement. It's still the done thing to put your full address on a CV. So if it's not a deliberate thing to leave it off to protect anonymity, that would be the first tip, is make sure that your contact details are complete. I've covered over the mobile number and the email address for obvious reasons. Okay, coming on to the next bit. Let's just get rid of some of this stuff. This part, I'm going to be a bit harsh with a lot of this. I'd completely remove it. It's not really serving any purpose. For example, a health, safety and environment professional with 9 years of experience. Well, they can see what experience you've got from this section where you go through, you know, all of your experience. So you're kind of duplicating. Again, with the qualifications, you mention your qualifications down here. So you're duplicating, and that paragraph doesn't really do anything. It's not setting you apart from anybody else, I don't think, really. There's nothing over and above what you've got in other sections, so I'd consider really taking that out completely, so you can then have more space and room for other things. Then there are some good things about this that I will cover that I think need to be made more obvious on the CV. So that first paragraph I think needs to go. I would also get rid of this, the whole thing, because again, I don't think there's much value there, and I think there's a lot of duplication. So for example, thorough knowledge of health and safety legislation, identifying workplace hazards. I mean, these, if you've completed the NEBOSH National General Certificate and you've completed, you know, what is that, level 3 safety for managers from NCRQ, it's kind of assumed that you're going to have a thorough knowledge of health and safety legislation. It's going to be assumed that you're able to identify workplace hazards. Competent risk assessor, you know, all this is covered in both the education and also your kind of experience section touches on that. You know, communication, how, you know, if you're saying that you're particularly skilled in communication, well, you're not communicating that very well by just putting one word. You know, anyone can say that they're skilled in communication. What you need to do is demonstrate sort of like how, you know, prove that you say you're skilled in communication. Well, you know, your accomplishments need to reflect that, or it needs to be reflected in your experience, in which case there's no real need to put it as a separate section for skills. So I'd get rid of that as well. And I know I'm being quite brutal here and cutting quite a lot, but that's good, because then we can use the space that we've created to really push on the things that are gonna kind of move the needle, hopefully, and get you that interview. So I'm just looking at, I've made some notes before I started the video that I'm just going to consult now, so I don't want to miss anything. So I've covered that, covered the address, unnecessary section. Yeah, this here was another thing I picked up on. I'm now immediately available for any positions in the health and safety field. This is going to sound harsh, but that makes you sound a bit desperate. It's like you'll just take any job that comes along, and that might be true. I mean, Christ, it's a tough world, and if you haven't got a job, you might be desperate to get a job. You know, that's understandable, but what you don't want to do is for that to come across in your CV. So what you might want to do is either take that sentence out or be a bit more specific in, you know, what type of health and safety job that you want, and it shows if the job that you're applying for matches up with what you say you want, that you've put some thought into your CV and you've made it a bit more specific to the job that you're actually applying for. I don't think it's a good idea to say that you're available for anything. So that's that. Let's have a look at some other things. Here, so I've covered over the name of the employer, but that's all there was there, just a name. Oh no, not there, sorry. Let me just go back to that. Covered over the name of the employer here, but that's all that there was there, is just a name of an employer. For your other positions, you've kind of gone into a bit of detail about what was involved in those positions, but with this one, basically it was, the employer was a bakery, which obviously you've gone outside of health and safety into something that's not health and safety related to be a production operative at a bakery, which is absolutely fine. But what you want to do is still go through what your experience was there. What did you get involved with? Can you find anything in that, you know, you developed some new skills, that you went above and beyond the call of duty, so to speak, for example? It shows that you're not going to let just, because you might have felt that it was a bit of a step down from a site safety officer to a production operative, but I think it shows a positive mental attitude and a good sort of strength of character to actually say, no, yeah, it might have been a step down or a pivot or whatever, but I still learned something. I still got something out of the position. I still put forth my full maximum effort. There's an opportunity there to kind of still put some skills and experience down, rather than just kind of leave it blank with no details. I would, you know, put forth the extra effort to put some details in there. What else? Okay, here's something I think has got potential. This bit down here, where you talk about your accomplishments, I'd maybe move that up and make that the first thing, because what you did was you led a construction site to deliver a multi-storey car park with 300 site workers within 2 years. Sounds good to me, but you've only got like one sentence there. Now with the space that we've created, by cutting back on some of the unnecessary things that have been duplicated, you've got an opportunity there to make much more of that accomplishment. The next one you've put down is updated and implemented near-miss reporting policies for continued company compliance with accidents, incidents and guidelines. So you've updated and implemented near-miss reporting policies. Okay, could you make anything more of that? Or are you putting that in sort of like to flesh that out, or is there actually some meat on the bone to that? Is there some more depth that you can go into? Like, what was your contribution to that? How did you implement the near-miss reporting policies? I think there's potential there to make that more impressive. And the last one, implemented new interactive employee scheduling system to monitor, gauge and project staffing needs. So an interactive scheduling system. So you implemented it. That sounds pretty good. Did you come up with the interactive employee scheduling system? You know, if so, that is quite impressive. You implemented it. How did you implement it? So what did you do? What skills did you use to implement it? I think this needs to be, this section, accomplishments, I think would benefit from being more than just 3 bullet points. I think you could make more out of those and, you know, make them, you know, more impressive than just how they're presented on this CV at the moment. So I think there's potential there. Let's have a look. Right, okay, you might not be able to see this, but here, let me just get me. Professional affiliations, IOSH, technical member. Well, that really could be put as a post-nominal letters. I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with post-nominal letters. I see some people where they put every single post-nominal letter they possibly can after their name. There's some people have got more post-nominal letters than they have letters in their actual name. And to be honest with you, I think it looks a bit ridiculous. And you've got to wonder why they're doing that. And I think, to be honest, we all know why they're doing that, don't we? It makes them look a bit, well, I don't think it's necessary. Let's leave it at that. But in some cases, it does. There are some cases where there is a proper use case for it. Here, if you could use your post-nominal letters of tech IOSH, then you could take that out, so saving you more space. And then you've got this whole section here where you get rid of that column and use it. You know, maybe if you want to stick with the 2-column format, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the 2-column format, but as it stands at the moment, all this is kind of, you know, there should be information there. So make sure you don't want it to look cluttered, but by the same token, you don't want to, on the flip side of that, you don't want to waste space either. So with cutting out that, you know, cutting out that as well, we've created quite a lot of space that I think can be, when I go, if this goes to stage 2 and we're sort of matching up the CV to the actual job role that you're applying for, this is where we can, you know, get lots of keywords into the CV. Okay, let's get rid of that. What else was there? Okay, down here you've got your qualifications. I don't know about this. I might be wrong, but if you've got IOSH Managing Safely and you've got NEBOSH National General Certificate, what I would advise, and again I might be wrong, but if you've got a qualification that kind of supersedes another qualification, maybe leave that off, because NEBOSH National General Certificate is regarded as a a step up, level 3 rather than level 2 as you put on your CV. So it makes me wonder whether or not it's even worth putting the IOSH managing safely. Don't know on that one. Happy to listen to read comments that people have got about that down below. And then here, let me just get rid of some of this ink. Obviously, I know what IOSH managing safely is. I know what NEBOSH is. Know what NCRQ is. Here, though, this bit, 2012, 2011, 2010, all of that means nothing to me. 2012 OSH Academy, which I assume stands for Occupational Safety and Health. Don't know what that is. Is it a qualification? Because what will happen is I'm certainly not going to go onto Google and research that. I don't mean for that to sound a bit harsh, but someone who's recruiting for a position, they are not going to go onto Google and research things from your CV that they're not clear about. They'll just bin your CV. So bear that in mind. If you're going to put something that is, a lot of these things, this is from Nigeria, this is from Nigeria. Obviously we're in the UK now, and they might not know what these institutions are. So this one in 2010, is that a Bachelor of Engineering in mining at the Federal Institute of Technology? Again, I don't know. I don't know if that stands for a Bachelor of Engineering. If it does, that would suggest that that's a degree. If that is a degree, that would need much more prominence on the CV if that's a degree level qualification. But again, I don't know. In 2011, Competence Development Training, HSE 2 and 3, Nigerian Institute for Safety Professionals. Again, I don't know what that is. That would need to be fleshed out a little bit so it's clear that that is a recognised qualification, at least in Nigeria. Okay, I think that was about it. I know that there's quite a lot there that I've gone through that might seem critical, but that's good in a way, because I think there's a lot of improvement then that can be made to that CV. So to the person that sent this in, thank you very much for sending it in and allowing me to to go through it and make a video about it. If you want to make changes, and I'm talking to the person that sent this in, make the changes and then send me an updated version of your CV, and then we can take it a stage further and start to match. Once you've made these corrections, start to match up the CV to the job role that you're going for. We can certainly do that. To people just kind of watching, if you've got any suggestions, comments down below, please. Let's help this guy get this job. And if you are searching for a job at the moment, as always, keep your chin up, positive mental attitude, best of luck with it, and I'll see you in the next video.